Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Gaming Mix podcast, your official podcast from analogstickgaming.com. Of course, if you don't know me by now, my name is Jordan, one of the co-owners of Analog Stick Gaming. And to my right, as always, we have the founder himself, Jeff. But before I go to him, I feel like I have to mention this is episode 69. So let's get a like just for that, shall we? We'd appreciate that. Consider subscribing as well. We've been away, obviously, for a couple of weeks. Kind of. We have done a couple of streams in that time, though. We had no episode last week, but we did a stream of Battlefield 6's new Battle Royale mode. That was interesting. And then we also did a stream including our good friend Keith Mitchell from the Outer Haven, where we played Arc Raiders, which I know we will talk more about later on today.
The stream crapped out and your internet went to shit.
Yeah, which was very frustrating. Yeah, it's, things happen sometimes, but it's one of those things. If you'd like to see more streams, please, like, subscribe and all that good stuff, because we are planning to do more streaming sort of things as much as we can, really, because we figured that actually there's quite a lot of co-op games that me and Jeff can play and do streams of. So yes, we will be doing more of that as time goes on. But how are you today, Jeff?
Not so bad. A little tired, but
the clocks have changed, and it's made Jeff even more tired than usual.
Yeah. Well, no, I got up at I think 6 or whatever like that, because I was so used to getting up at that time, whatever, and then Banter wouldn't let me get back to sleep, so.
It's all Banter's fault. That's also why Jeff looks slightly different today, because he's having to use an older camera because Banter decided to destroy the new one. Yep. So there is that. Obviously, we've got some gaming news to speak about. It won't all be positive today. There's delays, there's layoffs, there's all manner of other things that we need to talk about. But before we get to all of that, I wanted to give a quick note on the website, because as Jeff now is aware, I've actually been improving some things on the back end of the website, which now when you search Analog Stick Gaming on Google, we should actually be the first recommendation you see now, rather than random analog stick websites trying to sell you analog sticks. So we should actually be the AI recommendation now, and it's because I've verified us as a website with Google, and done a few other things, and done a few other things in the back end, because I did get people telling me when I put in Analog Stick Gaming, the website isn't coming up very high, kind of thing. So I've been trying to improve some of the SEO things. And, people have also mentioned that when using a VPN, which is quite interesting, this also continues to work. So wherever you are in the world, if you're using a VPN, or if you need a VPN, remember you can use our link below. You should still be able to find us more easily now, and we should also appear higher in search results than we have done in the past. And I'm going to spend the next week improving some other back-end things on the site as well. You won't see anything different. It's just that when we go into the back end of the site, there might be a few things that show up that weren't there before for us. But to you, the consumer, and the viewer of our content, nothing will appear any different. So don't worry about that. So yeah, there is that. We have improved the site. As I said, I mentioned just now, we do have a NordVPN link below. Jeff, why don't you tell people about NordVPN and the great deal that they can get by using our links on the website and in the description below, because if you don't know what NordVPN is, you should probably check it out. And Jeff is going to let you know why right now. Jeff.
Yeah, I'm just bringing up the page right now. My laptop is being a butt. Yeah. So right now, so right now with like a VPN, if you can't access a lot of content due to your region, you can kind of swap regions essentially within a VPN and kind of get the benefits of all that kind of stuff. The nice thing about it is NordVPN right now has a deal where it's their Black Friday discount, and it's $3.79 a month plus 3 months extra. It's a really, really good deal for it right now. And if you maintain that subscription through the auto pay, we start seeing benefits of it. So if you want to support analog stick gaming, that's the way to go it. And it just basically makes it a lot easier for you to kind of have security on your connection as well too, so that people aren't essentially, seeing essentially what you are doing on the internet.
Yeah, and it makes it a lot easier to protect yourself from malicious links and hackers and that kind of thing, because one of the things I've been doing on the back end of our site is apparently we had a lot of malicious links basically pretending to link to our site, but they weren't actually linking to our site. And I've had to remove many of those. So hopefully you won't see those anymore. But if you're using a VPN, it would protect you from any of those that you do see anyway. So protection, being able to gain access to content that is available in other regions but not in your own. There are many advantages to a VPN. And of course, as I always mention, we also have, if you head over to the website, on any of our news articles, you will see a link or a logo for NordPass, which is Nord's password manager. And if you click that, you can also get a special deal on their password manager, which will allow you to keep track of all your passwords and create highly secure passwords. And I have to tell you, since using a password manager, I will never not use a password manager now, because I only have to remember 1 or 2 different passwords now. And as long as I can get into my password manager, I don't even need to know what my passwords are for any other website or anything. So it's great, and it's great for security, because obviously the more secure that your passwords are, the better for everybody, right? So please make sure you go and check that stuff out if you need it. And as Jeff said, if you use any of our links and then you continue through the auto renewal period, every month that you then renew, we will continue to get a percentage of that subscription. So it is, at the moment, it is your only direct way of monetarily contributing to us. And I think that it's safe to say, as me and Jeff have mentioned before, right now, any money that we do get from this will essentially go back into the site in some form anyway, because we don't always get every code for every game. So we sometimes have to buy games. Sometimes, we might get invited to events that we can't currently go to because it costs a lot for travel. There's different things. And if we can make some money, it will only help us to provide better content for you. So please, if you need these things, or even if you're a current subscriber to these things, please think about using our links to kind of renew your subscription or start your subscription, because it really would help us out, and we really appreciate that. So thank you very much. But now, Jeff, let's get to the gaming news. Where do you want to start today?
It's not too much today, really. So let's take a look at one that I've been kind of looking forward to. Marvel 1943 Rise of Hydra has been delayed for a second time, its publisher has announced. Back in May, the game, which was previously set to release in 2025, was officially delayed to early 2026. Now, in a statement posted on its official Twitter account, published Skydancer Games announced that the game has been delayed further to an unconfirmed release window. At Skydance Games, our goal is to deliver unforgettable, premium games that honor the characters and worlds we're fortunate to work with. Marvel 1943, Rise of Hydra is an ambitious project, and we are committed to ensuring it meets the level of quality that our team, players, and fans expect. To fully realize our vision for Marvel 1943, Rise of Hydra, we've made the decision to shift our release window to beyond that of early 2026. So this is the long-awaited project from Amy Hennig, who has not really had the best of luck of getting a game made or published since Uncharted 3, pretty much. So like this is an interesting one because we've seen some Marvel games getting canceled because I think that Black Panther game, I think, was canceled.
Yeah, the EA Black Panther game, as far as we're aware, got cancelled. Obviously, they're still doing Marvel things with Insomniac because those Spider-Man games so far have been very successful and have probably made a lot of money for Disney, not just for PlayStation. So you know that it's interesting. What I would say is I'm not surprised by this delay, really. Just because I think that if the game was coming in early 2026, we probably would have seen more of it by now.
It's been a while since we've actually seen like actual like gameplay apart from like that one trailer.
Yeah, precisely. So I'm not surprised, really. And actually, I think that it's probably a good thing for this game because given one of our other news stories that we'll get onto in a minute, I believe that there will now be a lot of games releasing in the earlier period of 2026 than there might have been previously.
It's
and
just one of those
why would that be, Jeff? Why would that be? That's what we need to get onto.
The big delay obviously was not Marvel 1943, even though I'm far more excited for that than this. And
I would actually agree.
Grand Theft Auto 6 has been delayed again. Hi, everyone. Rockstar said in a statement on Twitter, Grand Theft Auto 6 will now release on Thursday, November 19th, 2026. We're sorry for adding additional time to what we realize has been a long wait, but these extra months will allow us to finish the game with the level of polish you have come to expect and deserve. We want to thank you again for your patience and support. While this wait is a little longer, we are incredibly excited for players to experience the sprawling state of Leonida and a return to modern-day Vice City. This is another one of those things where they've tossed a date on something that who knows if they're even going to meet. Maybe we're going to get this game in early 2027.
Yeah. What I would say, and I'm always a bit... What I would say is what history shows us is once Rockstar give an actual date, they usually make one delay following that and then release the game. And obviously the first date they gave was in May, right? It was going to be May, I believe.
Official date, yes. Because everything else was just kind of like they were going to hit a certain time period with it.
Yeah, so I think that history gives me some confidence that the November date is probably now the correct one. However, I do think there is still a chance that this game probably slips into early 2027. And, you know, it's crazy to think of, but that would potentially mean that GTA 6 will actually be potentially a next-gen game, which would then mean that we went 2 whole generations of console without a new GTA game.
Yeah, I mean, I think still that they would release it on Series X and PS5. Just
I agree. They probably would. They probably would. I do think, in Rockstar's defense, we have to remember something that happened a few years ago. And I'm not talking about COVID. I'm talking about the fact that the source code for the entire game leaked. And there was like a hack or something. And given that their source code leaked, I know it was the source code for GTA 5 or what have you, but I guarantee you they were using lots of that same code in GTA 6.
Yeah.
And because of the leak, they would have had to have gone back and changed certain things within the code. And that would have affected a lot of things in the game itself. So that leak alone probably added a considerable amount of time to development. But also, let's just be honest, Rockstar are sort of perfectionists, right? Like they want to bring out the best game possible at launch. And I think that they've probably seen over the last couple of years in particular, there's been a lot of very bad cases of video games at launch, you know?
I mean, I think, I don't know if they want to release the best game possible, because then that prevents them from re-releasing it on the next platform with new enhancements and changes.
That's true.
You know, so I think they want to release a shippable product that will be, you know, good for, you know, for everyone involved. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, I mean, I haven't liked a numbered Grand Theft Auto at all.
Wow, interesting.
I've only liked the ones with the subtitles. So like Vice City and San Andreas have been the only ones that I've really liked.
Wow.
I haven't liked 4. I did not like 5 at all.
It's strange because a lot of people didn't like 4 because it was so different in many ways in terms of tone, and I think people didn't like that grittier vibe almost. Yeah. 5, I can actually understand you not liking, because as much as I enjoyed the game, I do think there's lots of problems with GTA 5.
It just, I mean, also, like, I mean, I didn't like the characters of the story, but it just controlled like ass. Yeah. You know, like the characters like running basically, like turning and shit. Yeah. Like I fucking hated that. The cars drove like boats.
Yeah, let's hope that they improve that stuff. Because if they don't, that is not going to go down very well.
I mean, based off the footage that I've seen so far and stuff like that, it looks like they've fixed at least some things and stuff. So.
Yeah. Well, that, you know, we'll wait and see, and hopefully this thing comes out in November of next year. But we'll keep an eye on it because obviously you never know. Delays could happen anytime. I do think it's also important to mention, and while I don't have the news piece in front of me exactly, I know that Rockstar recently made 30 people redundant. They got rid of 30 people.
Yeah, they're blaming it off of leaks, like that they were that those people were like leaking information or something, and that not this like union busting thing and stuff like that. But
yeah,
it's hard to say exactly what is legit about those types of things because we never.
I agree, and they might be just trying to cover themselves, right? Because at the end of the day, firing people just because they were trying to make a union is not a good look at all. Like that's not a good look to anyone. So them being able to turn around and be like, oh no, that's not why we actually fired these people. We fired them because they were leaking stuff. And Rockstar knowing that it's very hard to disprove that these people were leaking things as well. Like, as much as it's hard to prove that they were leaking things, it's just as hard to prove that they weren't leaking things. And therefore, it's kind of an easy get out for them in that situation. I do want to mention, because we don't have it on the docket here, but in other similar news, I have seen recently, and this could impact us and other games media outlets, Square Enix have been consolidating their PR and communication teams, I believe. And a lot of people in the US and the UK have been affected and will be losing their jobs by the sounds of it. So I want to give my thoughts to all of those people who work in PR departments for Square Enix, because, you know, it's never nice to lose your job. And I hope that anyone that we have connected with over the years, I hope that you retain your job, not just for us, but, you know, more importantly for you yourself, because everyone we work with is great, quite frankly. Like, we haven't worked with anybody bad in any PR. So, you know, I wish you all the best. And it sucks when people are losing their jobs. So I just thought I'd add that while we were on the subject of layoffs, because it seemed relevant. What do we have up next, Jeff?
Once I decide to laptop working.
Jeff's laptop is delaying the show.
Well, like when Google is like, you know, putting like a gig on each tab on Chrome.
I know, it's crazy. It is crazy.
I don't even know what's going on. There isn't even a gig of like art assets on this damn website here.
Wow.
All the ads. It's like they want me to know that Trail Appliances basically is like $300 off select kitchen packages. So if you're near a Trail Appliance, definitely go there. Amazon Games has confirmed that it's ending development of its MMO, New World. New World recently launched Season 10, and Night Haven update will serve as its final content release for the game on PC and consoles. It was confirmed on Tuesday. The game will remain online through next year, Amazon said, and it will provide a minimum of 6 months' notice before making any changes that impact your ability to play. This confirmation follows a huge round of layoffs at the corporation, saying to have affected at least 14,000 jobs, including a significant number at New World's developer, Amazon Games, Orange County. New World will remain available for purchase in addition to its in-game currency, of course. The game will also remain available for download for PlayStation Plus subscribers. The game's Night Haven release will be available for free for all players. After 4 years of steady content updates and a major new console release, we've reached a point where it's no longer sustainable to continue supporting the game with new content updates. An update reads on the game's website. In the coming months, we will provide more details on what to expect and other essential information. Rest assured, our intention is to keep servers operating through 2026, allowing our community time to continue their adventures in Aeternum. So New World was a game that I played on Xbox for a couple months. I really enjoyed playing it. I wasn't planning it for a review at some point, but I wanted to kind of push through kind of like the main story and stuff like that. But no, I enjoyed what I played of it. It was quite good. You know, it kind of sucks that they're finding that it's unable to sustain, so it's obviously not making a lot of money.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to say exactly how many people were actually buying like monthly things or spending more than just the cost of getting it going. But no, it is unfortunate that they're not able to figure something out, you know, to get it to a point where it can at least, you know, be functional. But
For sure.
At least they are going to give some type of heads up of when it is going to go offline. We've got at least next year to kind of play through and go through. So I might jump in at some point to play.
I agree that, you know, it's nice that this isn't like a sudden, sorry, we're shutting down right now. Do you know what I mean? It's that's nice because it gives people time to finish off the things they want to finish off in the game. And that's, you know, we don't always get that luxury, so bravo to them for that. But it is unfortunate that they can't figure out a way to keep this game running, you know, for a longer period of time. For sure.
Yeah.
So what do we have up next, Jeff?
This one is just, I saw this morning when I was putting together everything, and I'm like, oh dear Lord, it's like more of these like streamer assholes. Shroud has called on his fans to vote for Arc Raiders as Game of the Year for 2025 over Claire Obscure Expedition 33, calling multiplayer gamers the minority. Canadian Michael Greznik, I don't even fucking care, who specializes in competitive multiplayer first-person shooters, is a former professional Counter-Strike player who has built an enormous online audience. With 6.8 million subscribers on YouTube and 11.3 million followers on Twitch, his call to action has significant weight behind it. Shroud has thrown himself into Embark Studios' Arc Raiders ever since its explosive launch, and in a recent Twitch stream mobilized his community to vote for the game when it comes to the Game Awards 2025. We got to make sure that this game wins Game of the Year, by the way, he said. Do not let that Expedition game win Game of the Year. Do not let it. Absolutely do not. We have to band together to make this game win. Us multiplayer gamers are the minority, okay?
Right.
We are the minority being multiplayer gamers.
So I want to say something on this. First of all, I don't dislike Shroud, okay? I actually do like Shroud, generally speaking. I think he's a very good player of specific types of games and makes some interesting content around them. However, when he says multiplayer gamers are the minority, quite frankly, and I'm going to swear here, so cover your ears if you don't want to hear it, he is talking absolute bullshit. like absolute bullshit. Multiplayer gamers are not the minority. Within a specific genre, they might be.
Like, he's
they are
never
not the
even
minority.
Expedition, but he's like, no, we can't let it win. We just can't.
I agree. And look, I don't know whether he's played it or not, but based on the other games that he's played, I don't expect that he plays any single player game.
He probably played it for like 3 hours before realizing it wasn't multiplayer.
Yeah, but more my issue is either he's stupid or he knows he's chatting crap when he says that multiplayer gamers are the minority. Like, I can go on Google right now and bring up literally facts upon facts that demonstrate how multiplayer games are the most successful in the entire industry.
Well, and the thing, too, he goes on to say, like, all the fucking awards are rigged anyways. Who cares? When have you ever seen an award that's actually legit? Oh, I don't know. Last year?
Yeah.
like, it's so funny. Like, Baldur's Gate 3 won Game of the Year last year, and it was well-deserved.
Yeah, like, and also, I think what other people don't understand, and maybe this is what Shroud is struggling to understand, is whether people like it or not, some people watch the Game Awards and go, oh, it's just an advertisement show. But the truth is, these awards do actually matter, because they matter to the people who've made the games.
Yeah,
they are a sign of recognition, and you know, let's say, for example, right, one of my favorite games in recent years is Balatro, and we know, like, yes, okay, take this with a pinch of salt. Our friend Naman MBZ works for PlayStack, the publisher of Balatro. But if Balatro had won Game of the Year, which it could have, can you imagine how massive that would have been for that developer and for the publisher to be like, yeah, our small little indie game just won Game of the Year? Like, you know, nobody can tell me these things don't matter. Maybe they don't matter to you, and maybe you don't really care about them because they don't affect you directly, and therefore the only reason you watch the Game Awards is for the trailers and reveals and things like that. But to say they don't matter is rubbish. And I think that might be what's happening here. When people go, oh, they're rigged anyway, and they try and like belittle these awards, I think they don't understand that these awards do matter. Like, and yeah, okay, you could argue that maybe the Game Awards are not the awards that matter the most. And I think that there's a case to be had there. Like, I would argue that the DICE Awards probably matter more, because DICE, you're being awarded by your fellow industry colleagues, right? So it's industry colleagues who actually know what they're talking about, awarding you for certain things, right? However, where the Game Awards is important is its recognition from gaming communities about the quality of the game. And yes, there's a judging panel which makes a difference, and we know that they have lots of the voting power, but the public vote does come into it. The public vote can sway things.
Yeah, it's a very small percentage as well, too, because they've also got like the fan vote, which more likely is where you're going to see like Arc Raiders probably take.
Yeah, and I want to be very clear. We'll talk more about Arc Raiders later, but I wouldn't be surprised one bit to see Arc Raiders nominated for Game of the Year, based on how it's captured people and everything like that. And I do think it's a phenomenal game in many ways.
I almost want Expedition 33 to win just solely despite these types of campaigns.
Yeah,
like where people are like when you have a big audience, you shouldn't be swaying them to conform to your agenda. That's not what you do with the big audience.
You can sit there and make a case and be like, do you know what? I think this should be Game of the Year because of XYZ, but you shouldn't be telling people. The camera moved. It was a ghost.
It's not a ghost. It's this little bastard. Oh.
It's Banter. Banter has appeared on the show. Yet again. He was like, you're doing the show. I must appear. I am the real owner of the website. Oh, God, I love that guy.
Don't put your little wiener on the internet. Okay? All right.
His reaction when you said that, he's like, what?
All right, because it never goes away. All right.
Brilliant. But yes, my main issue with this story, like I said, is just the absolute bullshit that multiplayer gamers are the minority.
Yeah.
Because okay, Jeff, I'm going to ask you it this way. What's the biggest game in the world?
Roblox.
That you right. And what's the probably second or third biggest game in the world?
Probably Fortnite.
Right, and what do those games have in common?
Cartoon graphics.
What else do they have in common?
They play for kids.
And what else? The main thing.
Oh, you can create content.
Okay.
No, they're online.
Yes. And online means what exactly? Do you play an online game by yourself, Jeff?
I mean, I try to, but then people get in the way.
Precisely. So therefore, this is what I'm saying, right? And I don't have the exact numbers in front of me right now, but I know that hundreds of millions of gamers play multiplayer games every month. Right? And that's not to say that single player games are small, okay? There's a reason that something like Spider-Man 2 sold 20 million copies. There are a lot of people that play single player games as well. I'm not trying to diminish single player games with this, but I am sorry, but you cannot tell me that multiplayer gamers, even if you caveated it and said players who play multiplayer only games and nothing else are the minority, I would still say that you were lying.
Isn't that Shroud? Like, has he ever played a single player game?
Precisely. And that's what I mean. I would still say that you're lying because I know plenty of people that only play Call of Duty multiplayer every year. And they literally don't even touch the single player campaign in the game they've already bought. So
that's the best part.
So it's quite frankly, I take real offense to that statement. And look, we're a little bit different, but in terms of our gaming habits, I actually think that we kind of are similar to a lot of people in the sense that we play single player games, but we will also play multiplayer games. So what are we then? If we do both, what are we? It's really, really weird to come out and say something like that. And I can understand you really liking a game, and I can understand that you're a content creator, so perhaps you just want to make a viral moment that you know is going to get attention, okay? I get that part of it, but you can make a viral moment without straight up lying. And quite frankly, that's a straight up lie, and it's misinformation.
Yeah.
And I have a real problem with that.
I mean, it probably shows a lot that a lot of these like streamers, I'm not going to say all of them, but a lot of these streamers are incredibly detached from what actually is going on. Like they just kind of stay in their little bubble. Because like there's a lot of streamers out there that like legit know what's going on. Like you take a look at like someone like Maximilian Dude.
I love
like,
that
guy is so connected to every facet of gaming that he can articulate the exact reasonings for almost everything.
And even the genres of game that he doesn't like himself, he still knows what's going on within those genres. Like
there's a reason why a lot of like companies and stuff come to him. Like Absalom was pretty much revealed on one of his streams.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So like there's a reason why that kind of stuff, and like his streaming as well too. And this is kind of exclusive for the stream, but his content, his streams and stuff like that, and it may foreshadow to a win, but he's one of the reasons why I'm going to be adding a like best content creator for our awards, our own personal awards. Although he's got strong contention. A strong contender in a streamer that I've recently been getting into because of Arc Raiders, and that is the Burnt Peanut.
Who is the Burnt Peanut? What?
You know that? Did you watch that Arc Raiders?
I did. I watched the video.
The very beginning one where the guy is like, "Oh, 1 second, I got to kill this guy." Bam, 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 bam. Then he's like, "No, fuck you, blah, blah, blah." That's the Burnt Peanut, and his streams are so freaking funny. You can change his little outfit and stuff by paying like money on his stream and stuff, and change his outfit.
If I stream every single day, can I be up for this award? Like, can I be up for our own award?
Do the Burnt Peanut, man.
I don't know, but
he goes loot like Goop. He's like, "Oh, we gotta goop this. We gotta goop." It's so, oh my god! Like,
I will say though, and I know we're going to speak about it later, but that's made me think of a hilarious moment me and Keith had in Arc Raiders several days ago now, because we haven't played for a few days. But we were like playing, and I put the open mic on now so that I can toggle it and speak to people when we encounter them, because I do find that helps with player interactions, and it can sometimes stop people from killing you for no reason. But we were going around. We're in this factory on the dam map, and I just hear like singing. And this guy's singing, and then he just starts singing another song, and then I'm singing it back to him on the open mic, and then he comes up the stairs and he's still singing. I'm like. And then me and Keith started shooting a drone, and I was like, "Don't worry, we're not going to kill you," because he hears he couldn't see us, but he hears the gunshots, and he's like, "Oh my god, what was that?" It's just like, and it's really hilarious.
Have you seen the flute?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, like people just like playing the flute and stuff. This the one guy I was on this one video, or whatever. He's like doing a flute. He's like, "Oh, just playing something," and he just keeps going.
There is genuinely so much wholesome, like, as much as there are some issues that I have with the game that I'll talk about when we actually get into what we've been playing.
Yeah.
But I've had so many wholesome interactions with players now. Like, even on our stream the other day, there was a group of players we encountered, and they actually asked if we wanted to go with them, and we would have done, but we were in the middle of doing a quest at the time. Yeah. And we asked them where it was, and they didn't know, unfortunately. So I was just like, thanks, guys, carry on. And in that one game, there were like 6 or 7 players we encountered, and none of them attacked us. It was not a problem at all. And then we had other times where it was like, oh yeah, the first second we see you, That's it, you know, and and don't get me wrong, I get that it's part of the game, and we'll talk more about that later. But my point was, there are some amazingly wholesome experiences within Arc Raiders to be had. So I love that stuff, and I'm not surprised that you're discovering new content creators through the game, because there's so many funny clips around.
But when we see Shroud, we just shoot on sight.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, multiplayer gamers are not the majority. I was really screaming that.
There are dozens of us. Dozens. Alrighty. Last story here is a really funny one. Nintendo has won a lawsuit against a streamer who regularly played pirated games before their release while taunting the company that he couldn't be caught. Last year, Nintendo sued Jesse Kynan, who claimed it would stream games on various online platforms under his username EveryGameGuru. The lawsuit stated that since 2022, Kynan has streamed at least 10 of Nintendo's leaked games before they were released, more than 50 times in total, the most recent of the time of the lawsuit being Mario and Luigi Brothership. It's also claimed that Kynan taunted Nintendo, sending the company a letter boasting that he has 1,000 burner channels to stream from and can do this all day. As reported by Torrent Freak, Kynan continued to taunt Nintendo's lawyers on Facebook, writing, "Should have done more research on me. You might run a corporation, but I run the streets." In April 2025, Nintendo filed a new motion claiming that Kynan had evaded service of the complaint and that it served through its substitute means both via email and letters to his mother, grandmother, and partner. After Kynan failed to respond by the deadline, the court clerk entered default against him on March 26, and Nintendo asked the court to make a default judgment against him for the $17,500 in damages. Now, it kind of goes on in the story in regards to him, like a total amount being total to him through the lawsuit, and how Nintendo's lawyers are saying, like, listen, we could have gone for $10,000 per game. We're not. We just want to solve this and blah, 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 blah. We want all the devices destroyed, yada, 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 all those types of stuff. But apparently they've been able to kind of pin this down and win it. This is so funny. Like, you might run a corporation, but I run the streets. Bitch, you don't even run your supper for the evening, all right? Your mom's just putting it on a platter and bringing it downstairs. Like this is so funny, these types of things and stuff, these people.
And also, do you know what? It's interesting, right? Because I'm going to be careful how I say this to make the point I want to make without endorsing certain things. So I want to say, first of all, this is highly illegal because, like, the guy is streaming pirated versions of games that are not even out yet. Like, to be quite frank, he could be locked up for that stuff. Like, it's really illegal. Okay. And in some ways, I sympathize with people who pirate certain Nintendo products to play on PC, because I get why people would want to do that. Even though I don't do it myself, I understand why people would want to do it, because Nintendo make amazing games and you want the best performance out of them possible. Okay? So I can sympathize with that part of it.
Yeah, especially when the last Pokemon game ran better on PC than it did on Switch.
Yeah, so I can sympathize with that part of it. But in no world should anyone ever be able to basically pirate an unreleased game and then be sharing it with the world through streaming it before that dev team get to release the game to the world and have everybody play it at the same time. Because that is, I don't know about you, Jeff, but to me, you know, we're fortunate enough that we get to play some games, and actually quite a lot of games these days, before they're even released, right?
Yeah.
However,
we have embargoes and stuff. Like, I can't even talk about the game that I'm playing right now.
However, there is some magic to be had about discovering a game at the same time as everybody else. And there's like these water cooler moments that happen. Look at what's happening with Arc Raiders right now, right? I hate to bring it back to that game, but it's a very good example. The reason Arc Raiders is blowing up because it's a very, very good game, but it's also blowing up because of the social conversation around it. And I guarantee you there are people that have gone to play it and have bought and purchased the game just because of the social conversation around it, right? That wouldn't have happened. Like, one thing that me and Keith said the other day is, and we said it on the stream, the Embark Studios did not give out codes ahead of time, but this is actually one case with Arc Raiders where we can understand them not doing that, because it helped to create this water cooler moment, you know, of like, nobody's played the game before anybody else, everyone's discovering it at the same time, and it's really cool. When you share something from a leaked game, whether that be you playing it, whether that be sharing leaked footage or whatever, you are ruining the chance. Like, you're having a real detrimental effect on the potential for that game to be as successful as possible. Because those water cooler moments matter, and they do make a difference to video games, and they're less likely to happen if thousands and thousands of people have seen the game being played ahead of time and seen parts of the game that they shouldn't have seen. Because I know some people will argue, oh, well, you see gameplay trailers and that. Yeah, but that's different, because when you see a specific gameplay presentation, that is a very curated presentation to show you very specific things from a game that they want you to see ahead of time. But no creator and no developer ever wants you to see everything their game has to offer ahead of time. Like, that, they wouldn't do that, because then what would be the point of you buying it and playing it yourself? You know?
Yeah, it's one thing that I've seen with, like, even games like Dispatch.
Yeah.
Where they're very, like, story-driven games. Most of the time, you're just really kind of picking dialogue options. You're not really changing too much of the plot, because that stuff's been hardwired in. But there's a lot of people right now playing, like, through the full episodes and things like that. And it kind of becomes this issue of, like, okay, well, what do I get really out of buying it now?
Precisely. That kind of game, why would you buy if you've watched someone else play it?
You know, like, I mean, sure, you may not necessarily get the dialogue options you want, or certain aspects of it, but you have to think about what the return on having those other choices would be.
Yeah, I agree.
It's very weird, especially when you have, like, where they're kind of short experiences, because some people maybe don't keep up with all the episodes when you have like 30 episodes of a streaming game, as opposed to like 6, one per episode, or whatever the case is.
Yeah, I agree. It's very, and to be fair, credit to Nintendo, because they could have drove this guy into the ground. Yeah. And in normal cases, I think they probably would have.
Especially with them, like, defaulting on a lot of the stuff and, like, taunting and everything. There's people where they're like, they do something not innocent, but they do something very basic and very minor, and then suddenly they're in the ground for $100,000.
Yeah, and I think that, to Nintendo's credit, and I think perhaps it's them learning, because I do think that at times they've got bad reactions to the way they've reacted to certain things and dealt with certain things. But them being like, do you know what? We only want a small bit of money back from you, because actually our main focus here is to stop you ever doing this again. Because that's the main thing that's causing a problem here, is you, and it's like people who, quite frankly, I haven't seen anybody, for example, we know that streamers even, let's be quite frank, I'm not going to name them, but there are streamers that pirate released Nintendo games to play on PC instead of Nintendo for streaming purposes, right?
Yeah.
The difference with that is most of the time they'll buy the game on Nintendo and then they'll just pirate it to play it on PC. So they've still bought the game. And what I'm trying to say is you don't really see Nintendo going after people for doing that. The reason they went after this guy is because he's pirating, but he's also leaking games at the same time. Like, it's nuts. Like, firstly, I'd love to know how he even managed to do this. Like, you know, because he must have
like the file will like usually like leak online like a week before because like some distributor or something like that has opened up a case of, you know, the games and then basically taken one and uploaded everything.
Yeah, that's true. That's true, actually. I guess that's the one disadvantage of the way that Nintendo do things. It's like it's very easy.
It's the one drawback of like physical media is that people can get it early.
Yeah, true. Like, how many games do we see where we hear about the street dates being broken, right? I think earlier this year, I'm pretty sure that Assassin's Creed Shadows, for example, there were many people, usually in France, funnily enough, where Ubisoft is mostly based, there were many people that got the game early, like 2 or 3 weeks before the game actually was planned to release. So street dates are broken all the time, and I do understand that, but that doesn't, you know, this guy is still an idiot, quite frankly. And the fact that he tried to show off and be a big man, as you might call it, it's just like, it's embarrassing. It really is embarrassing. So, you know, but let's move on to happier things and talk about the things we've been playing, because between us, we've been playing a lot of things. I think that we should do Arc Raiders first because we've both been playing it, and then there are a few things that I want to talk about, and then I'll pass it off to you afterwards. But Arc Raiders, we both played it. Yeah. Myself and Keith on the Outer Haven have put out a review in progress. We haven't scored the game yet because we're going to wait for some of the content updates to happen. But Jeff, you have also reviewed the game.
Yeah, the review is going to be coming out today.
How do you feel about Arc Raiders?
It's amazing. It's probably one of the most engaging multiplayer games I think I've played in the last couple of years for sure. I'm not usually one for PvP. I usually will kind of avoid that end of it. But no, this one's super fun. The gameplay loop is what is really interesting. I mean, it also helps that the game is absolutely gorgeous.
It is, yeah.
This game looks so freaking good. And it just plays nice. Like, the shooting's really good. Like, everything works on a controller extremely well. Like, you can swap shoulders, like, no problem whatsoever.
Everything except for one thing works very well on controller. that skill tree needs to be improved.
Yeah, that's the only thing that I really like. There's 2 knocks that I kind of have with it. One's being addressed, and one who knows.
Yeah.
Guiding your little cursor on the skill tree is not great. It needs like a Destiny style cursor to kind of move around to figure that end of it. But the second thing is something that is being addressed, and that is that Speranza, who's like this last bastion of humanity, this last city. It doesn't feel anything more than like just a bunch of menus.
Yes.
And they're going to be fixing that. They're going to be making it a place that you can actually run around in and whatnot. So
yeah,
that's
good. And I like that they're doing that, because I agree with you that because the game actually has quite an interesting lore, and the characters that you do missions for, when you listen to the things they say and you watch the cutscenes that come up occasionally, these characters are actually quite interesting. But the fact that you can't run around and interact with them and interact with other players like you would in Destiny or in Division or in many other kinds of games is like, it feels like a missed opportunity, right?
Yeah, and especially with like a lot of the the kind of like, not end game stuff, but the stuff like the higher level challenges get you a lot of exclusive skins, like exclusive outfits and all that kind of stuff, and being able to see people running around with those outfits and stuff when you're not, trying to, fight for your life there.
Yes. Yeah.
It makes it a lot easier as well too to kind of get into that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's something that they're working on. But yeah, Arc Raiders is just really good. Like and like I mentioned this in my review, but whenever you try and talk to anybody about an extraction shooter, that's the last thing they want to talk about. It's a genre that has not really had their Elden Ring.
Many have tried and they haven't. Yeah, and no one has quite pulled it off, have they? Because
they're mostly made for the hardcore, and so you get things like Tarkov and whatnot, and I mean, hell, Rainbow Six Extraction has like less than 100 concurrent players, so like it's a genre that is not really meant for both the casual and the hardcore audience. But this is kind of the first one.
Yeah, I think, and to be fair to the developers, they made a very, like, if you listen to some of their interviews prior to the launch and things, because this game was originally something else. This game was originally more focused only on co-op gameplay, basically. And they decided to pivot it towards the PvP a little bit more and make it more of an extraction shooter type thing. But in doing that, they decided that they basically wanted to make a much more approachable extraction shooter that could also service the hardcore that the genre is normally for. And I think they've done that almost perfectly. Perfectly.
Like it's, like even watching like someone like Burnt Peanut or even like the proximity chat videos and stuff like that, is they've created this game that kind of has these very kind of unique moments.
Yeah.
Like whether it's somebody like crying on the ground, like, I've got a family, and then like
well, and we said the other day, like on our stream, and we said like, the game is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get.
Yeah, except you got the legend that comes in the chocolates now, and it tells you exactly that the brown one with the little dripping on it is strawberry.
Because it is, and that's the one area that I love. The PvP VE element of the game, right? It's like every game you go into, every time you see a player off in the distance, you never quite know what's going to happen. So you're always on guard and you're always like, are they going to turn and attack me? Are we going to help each other? Things like that, right? There are a couple of things I think they should add. One, I do think there should be an optional PvE only mode in some form. And I think enough people have asked for it that in the future, I could definitely see it being something they do add. But even outside of that, I think they have to add the ability to more effectively help people that are not actually in your squad. So, for example, if I see some random player go down and they're on their own, I should be able to revive them if I want to.
Yeah, you can use a defib.
Yeah, but I shouldn't have to use a defib, right? Like, I can get anyone in my squad up without using a defib. So I should be able to do that for any other player.
Yeah.
Like, so I think that would be a thing. But I like that the game has almost created this very unique community within the game itself, right? So, like, I saw on Reddit the other day that there's a guy that's going around in the game and he's basically acting as a sheriff. So he will not attack anybody, but if he sees any player attack someone else, he will then attack that player. Like, so he is basically out there protecting people who are not attacking other players, which I think is quite cool. And there's some really interesting things like that. There is one part of the game and the gameplay loop that I don't like, and I don't understand why this specifically has happened. Most of the people that seem to be griefing people and actively like extraction camping and that kind of stuff are streamers, and I don't get it. I don't get
it's to basically entertain their audience. Like, joining forces with other players and stuff isn't going to catch those moments that can be clipped.
Yeah,
it's basically for like reaction culture and a lot of like being part of these compilation videos and things like that.
Yeah,
and that's what it is for. Like that is what it is.
Yeah. I do wonder
fun with it.
I do wonder with the extraction part of it, whether they're going to put something in place to try and discourage extraction camping specifically. Because I can understand someone attacking you when you're trying to extract.
I don't know if they would really do that. Mainly just because, again, like, we're kind of in an era of video games where like stream culture brings a lot of eyes to a lot of games. So
yeah, and it's almost like bad or good is still eyes to the game, right?
Yeah, so it's like you still want to have like people with millions of followers like watching a game, not necessarily listening to your agenda, but to like,
true, very true.
Seeing these games, and if you're keeping them entertained, you're keeping the millions of other people entertained who are more likely to buy the game.
That is very true. I have a question for you then, because obviously this game is doing very successfully right now, and we both really like it.
Yeah, it's breaking stream numbers. I think it was like the fourth highest concurrent or something like that at some point.
And I think that there was something like, I saw something the other day about it already being the best-selling extraction shooter on Steam or something like that.
Yeah, I mean,
within its period of time.
Anything. Tarkov's, I think, finally going 1.0 or something like that. I can't remember. I know. I don't know what Duck Off is.
I did know. Oh, that was what I heard. Actually, it's the highest rated shooter game of all shooters on OpenCritic since the site has existed, because it's like 92 average or something. It's really high.
Like, it is absolutely phenomenal. Like, it is one of those games where like I'm playing it, I'm scoring it, I'm basically like reviewing it, and I'm like, this is a contender for my game of the year. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, it is.
It will be in my top 10. I can say that. I can say that without question. It will definitely be in my top 10.
Yeah. Like, it is unbelievably entertaining. And whether you're just playing, like, I'm playing like some like regular people, and then like I was playing a game and I was chatting with this one guy who's new to the game and stuff, and we were playing with a guy named Bonkers. And aside from Bonkers being the same name as my cat's favorite treats, we were like, Bonkers was talking exclusively in the game chat, with the like, hi, yes, don't hit me,
Yeah, so he was doing the quick chat kind of stuff. Yeah.
And so I'm like, hey, Bonkers, are we good to go? And he's like, yes, and stuff like. So he was doing that kind of stuff, and I'm sitting here, I'm like, this is Bonkers world. We're just living in it, like. And it was just so much fun. Doing that kind of stuff, and like, again, like,
well, I said earlier about me and Keith having an interaction with that guy who was like singing and just going around randomly, and I started speaking to him, and I was like, oh, do you? Are you new to the game? Do you need any help? Because we were going to help him, and he was like, I am new. He said, my friend is only just over there. And I was like, well, please tell your friend not to shoot us. And he said, no, don't worry, it'll be fine. And we got to the extraction lift, and there's like 4 people sat there. and all of a sudden someone starts shooting at Keith, but it's not one of these people, it's someone a bit further off, and everybody just shot at this other person. And it was like, and then by the time that we extract, there's like 5 of us or 6 of us in this extraction lift, and one of them goes, "Oh, my friend's not here with his flute." Like,
there was this one video I saw where this guy's like, "Oh man, the treasure in here is amazing." He opens his shutter door, and all the people go in, and then he backs out and lowers the shutter, and he's like, "All right, guys, there's no way out of that room except for this button on the outside. I need all of you to kill each other, and the last 2 we get to share the loot." And then like he's got the upper hand and everything, and then this other guy comes out and like shoots him, and he runs away, and you see the guy like limping to the shutter, and he opens it up, and all the other people come out, and then they just start killing that guy.
That's hilarious.
It was so funny.
That is hilarious. I will say I had something that did annoy me the other day, and I think this they should fix. So I was trying to get into a lift with Keith, and we had to run because there was a rocketeer right near, basically. Yeah. And this guy was just closing it, and Keith had just got in, and I was basically in, but I was still on the door bit, and because I hadn't ran quite far enough, instead of pushing me in, it pushed me out. And it's like, I'm on the thing, like, you know, at that point, let me just go. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I mean, again, like,
because we saw Keith got pushed out when playing with us the other day.
Yeah. But I mean, when you look at it this way, it's like these types of games are about building these really, really fun moments. And if you had both extracted, there wouldn't have been a moment. So
that's true.
Like, there is a give and take you have.
Because we'll always remember that moment now of like, oh, remember that time that we had to run, and
I get it. There should be some type of you know, give on these types of things where like the door is shutting or whatever the case is. But again, it creates these moments that you remember.
It does,
I like. For as much as like I don't remember much about Final Fantasy 11, I still remember like trying to find the Sea Serpent's Grotto. I still remember that whole story about all the shit that went wrong. And
moments are what you remember in video games, right? Quite frankly.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you before I move on to other games I've been playing, how long do you think that Arc Raiders can really keep this up? Because right now it's very popular, but we do always see this with this kind of game where they're usually any sort of shooter or multiplayer game that blows up is usually really popular for about 3 to 4 weeks, and then it starts to die off a bit.
I think it comes down to the content. And whether or not that content is strictly just for the people that have kept with it. Like when they add the Speranza thing and widen up the city and make it something that feels like worth, you know, battling for and whatnot, I think that's going to have like a big impact as well, especially if you can bring people into like your own little like living space and stuff like that. If you're able to like deck that out and make that something. And it comes down to like the moments and whether or not a lot of streamers are playing it and whether or not there's a lot of like new weapons or new arcs or a variety of different things, new maps, because the maps are gorgeous.
So we do know, obviously we have a roadmap for the next couple of months, and we do know that there's a new map coming within that period of time, and there is new archetypes coming as well. So it will. I agree with you that it will depend on the content. I do think something you hit on is absolutely right, though. It will also depend on how long do the content creators stick with the game.
Yeah, because if they see their content starting to dip and they're moving to the next big thing, because obviously Call of Duty is right around the corner and its multiplayer and its zombies and all that kind of stuff is going to be, you know, substantial as well too. But like I don't know. It's all going to vary because I think, unless I'm mistaken, I could be entirely wrong, but I think Tarkov is going like 1.0 right away here.
I believe it is, yeah. I've heard something about it, but I don't know. I think they're gearing up to go towards it, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it's starting to go 1.0 on November 15th.
Yeah. So next week, basically.
Yeah, because like even like someone like Burnt Peanut, for example, he was playing a lot of Tarkov.
Interesting.
That, and there has been talk. He was talking about going on there and whether or not he would come back to Arc Raiders, and he's like, yeah, as long as the content's here, as long as it's still fun, like you'll definitely come back.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think it's one of those questions that's kind of like, I mean, even with Marvel Rivals, like Marvel Rivals has seen a huge dip since its release, like almost 11 months ago. But I mean, like, I'm still finding matches. I'm still like all that kind of stuff. Like, so I mean, the game's still, as far as I know, doing extremely well.
Yeah. I mean,
a lot of those games take a huge dip.
Because what I would say is right now, Arc Raiders is keeping pace with its bigger AAA brethren, right? Like, okay, yes, I understand it's an extraction shooter.
It's Battlefield's lunch.
Yeah, like
the conversation is no longer about Battlefield.
No, but funnily enough, Battlefield's numbers are still really good.
Yeah.
But the fact that Arc Raiders numbers are there with Battlefield, yes, I understand they're different games, but there is going to be some crossover because ultimately people that like shooters often like any kind of shooter. Like, they're gonna play.
The nice thing too is that this is a third-person shooter as well, which normally doesn't kind of stick up in the numbers. It's normally a lot of first-person shooters.
And I just wonder. Like, I know it's done well, and because it's done so well, there's probably going to be more people jumping on it. It's obviously also a much more affordable price point as well, which I think helps it compared to some of the competition.
Yeah.
But I do wonder, like, by the time January comes around, once we're into 2026... I just wonder, are we still going to be talking about Arc Raiders? Or at that point, is the conversation going to be back to Battlefield and Call of Duty? And Arc Raiders will be this thing that's forgotten in the background?
I think as long as it keeps everything kind of fresh. Because, like, you can bring in a new map and still have the same gameplay. But if you're bringing in like, oh, this new weapon, or this new type of thing, or like all of a sudden like, oh, hey, we're getting hoverboards, holy shit, like all sorts of different things and stuff. And especially
I've seen people riding the arcs, and then the arcs will like go up really high and just flip them off.
Well, like in the early one of the early trailers, there were trampolines.
Yeah.
And like people were running and then jumping on those and then getting this huge like lift up to get on top of one of the queens and shit like that. So like it's
going to be interesting to see what they do. And I think that because the game has been so successful, they probably now have a lot more resources to put into the game to do even more things than they were initially planning. So it's going to be really interesting to see. But let's talk about some other things that I've been playing, because I've been playing some really interesting stuff. The first one is a game that won't be for everybody, but will definitely talk to a certain audience. And I've been playing it with my partner, Letitia, who has also written reviews on the website. But we've been playing on PC, and it's recently, yesterday, come to Nintendo Switch. We've been playing Dinkum, which is basically Australian Animal Crossing, but it's a little bit more involved than that. There's actual combat. There's kind of little pseudo boss fights in there. There's a lot more things you can do. It's also playable in like up to 4-player co-op. So I can invite you to my world and we can do things in my world, which is really cool. It is very much Animal Crossing. You're going around catching bugs, doing fishing, building things, getting resources to build other things, expanding your town, all this kind of stuff, right? But then you've got, like I said, you've got the fact that there is combat. There are wildlife that will actually fight back against you. There are vehicles you can get, like boats and other things. Like crocodiles will come after you, for example. So it's not. I would say it's a bit more involved than Animal Crossing. It's a little bit more of a video game than Animal Crossing is. And I think that, like, you're planting trees, you're planting crops and kind of harvesting those things to then cook meals and do all this other stuff. It is fun. Like, it's a fun time, and I've played about 5 hours of it so far. And it is a game that I will continue to play. I'm playing it on PC, plays very, very well. I obviously can't speak to the Switch version, but what I would say is the style of game that it is perfect for the Switch. But I would also expect this game to come to other platforms in the future.
Yeah.
Because this has a real opportunity to capture that Animal Crossing and Stardew Valley type of audience that other games don't like. There's a big hole for right now, right? And Dinkum has a real opportunity to do well in there, because it's of that genre. This is my favorite game that I've played in that genre so far. So that's a good sign. Other than that, what else have I been playing? So I have been playing, before I get on to one of the things, because I know Jeff's also been playing it, but I have been playing something that Jeff hasn't played, I don't believe. And I can talk about it because it's known that this exists. And I believe it actually launched now. But I've been playing the Falconeer. And no, I haven't been playing the original version of the Falconeer, but the Falconeer has just received a remaster with new gameplay elements. It's not just like they call it a remaster, but this isn't just a remaster. They've made changes to the way that gameplay systems work and other things. And while I haven't played enough to give a definitive score or anything on it yet, what I will say is this version of the Falconeer is a much better game than the original. And I liked the original. I thought it was okay. I thought it was a decent game as a launch game, as a generation launch game type of thing back in the day. I thought the Falconeer was a decent game. Mm-hmm. This is a much better game. And I look forward to playing more of it. I've also weirdly been playing, and I don't know why, this was kind of just, I wanted to chill out and play something the other day, but I played for the first time a game called Slay the Spire. Which you may or may not know. It's basically a deck building roguelike kind of game where you're fighting through different things. It's interesting. It's I like it. It's good.
Like Echoes of the End also did like a kind of a remaster where they kind of like rebuilt the game almost like from top to bottom in a lot of ways.
They did it based on fan feedback, and what I liked about that one actually when I saw it is everybody who bought the original game is getting this new version for free.
Yeah, so the same thing happened with Atlas Fallen as well. They did thing as well too.
Yeah, but what I like about Echoes of the End is that studio, it's their first ever game.
Yeah.
So actually, for them to be able to have the resources and the freedom to go back to the game 2 to 3 months after it's launched and be like, okay, we've taken on board all your feedback. We're now going to make these really meaningful changes based on your feedback to make a better version of this game for all of you, you know? And that's really nice to see that kind of stuff. There's a couple of other things I've been playing. Another one is an older game, but it's a game that I've very much enjoyed because I bought recently due to it being on sale on Steam with all of its DLC as well, and that is Crusader Kings 3, which is, turn-based kind of 4X strategy type game. I like it. I like those kind of games where you're sort of managing resources and kingdoms and making different decisions. And what I like about Crusader Kings is that when your character dies, you carry on their lineage, so you start playing as their son or their daughter or whoever inherits their title. Effectively, you start playing as that person. So this game can actually go on for years and years and years and years, and it can do some really interesting things can happen.
As a 5-year-old.
The thing is, you actually can, I believe. I haven't done that yet, but I believe you can. So yeah, it's quite interesting. And the studio that made that game have recently released another game that I'm trying to get hold of for potential review because it's a similar type of game but with some differences. Okay. So we'll see what happens with that. And then the other one is one that I know Jeff has reviewed already, so I know that he'll want to add some to this as well. But I've now played about an extra 5 or 6 hours of The Outer Worlds 2 after only playing the first sort of hour and a half introduction previously.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I am very impressed by the game so far.
It is a much better version of the first game. It doesn't really do anything more than what the first game did. And my only major criticism of it so far is the companions all suck, except for one. The only one I like is Ozza.
That's interesting, because I understand it, because we all connect with characters differently. But
This is like a widely acceptable criticism that I share with a lot of people. Like I was reading when I was doing my research on like if people like the companions, there is a large percentage of people who are playing this game that do not like this series of companions compared to the
interesting, because I wouldn't say it's hard, because I wouldn't necessarily say I dislike any of the companions that I've encountered yet.
Kind of boring. Like Niles is like the most like generic Captain America.
He's very one note. Yeah, he's very yeah.
And then Inez is basically just the female version of him with a third arm.
Yeah, it's a good point. It's a good point, actually, the more I think about it. Although I think I might have messed up my game. I don't know yet, because I killed both of the Auntie's Choice people.
Oh, what, Tar and Milver Street?
Yeah, I killed both of them. I killed both of them.
Once I left Mayfield or whatever, Farfield or whatever like that, I never saw them again.
That's good. Because yeah, I killed. So I killed them. To be fair, I didn't plan to kill both of them originally, but I killed the woman because it gave me the option to like antagonize her. And I thought, oh, that'll be fun and different, so let's do that. And I killed her, but then he wouldn't, because he was scared, he wouldn't speak to me. So I killed him and disintegrated him with acid. But I've got the keys to their stashes, so I'm going to go and find those. But I really like what's really impressed me so far is, compared to the first game, the gunplay is much better.
Yes.
Like significantly. Yeah, the gunplay is significantly better. I will say that a criticism of the first game, which I think people could still have here, is the combat generally is still quite easy, and perhaps too easy for some people. However, things I've really loved, I think it's an extremely well-written game. I think the writing is very, very good. Like,
the dialogue's really good. The voice acting is really good.
Yeah. Like one of the early things that happens, you go and find one of Niall's previous companions, and you then go and save some of his people, sort of. Something happens in that quest, and it's like, and the conversation that happens around that stuff is really cool. Like, it genuinely, every time I'm having a conversation in this game, I'm enjoying myself because characters feel unique, and not so much the companions, but the characters you meet within the world all feel unique, and they all talk in their own sort of way and have their own quirks to their dialogue, and it makes everything feel that much more alive and interesting. The other thing I think they've done very well that not every RPG gets right is, at least in the early hours, your build really seems to matter. Like, it can make significant differences.
There's no respecking in this at all. The first one had it after the first mission. You could choose to respec. This one locks you down right from the start. And there's a lot of choices based off those builds. Like, you can bypass large chunks of certain things. If your speech or leadership is high enough, you can kind of negate boss battles almost entirely.
Yeah. So, for example, I didn't have any engineering initially, but I've encountered a lot of engineering things. So I've now leveled up my engineering because it allows me to get around certain areas.
The thing with the stats is only invest in maybe 3.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Don't try and be a jack of all trades. You will get locked out of everything later on, and your points, you will feel like as if your points just did not matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
so at the moment, I'm focusing on what are the 3 that I have. So I'm doing speech, I'm doing the ranged combat one, and I'm doing engineering. I do have a couple of points in lockpicking just in case, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Other than that, I'm not touching any of the other stats.
My biggest issue with the Outer Worlds 2 is that this still feels like this team is just trying to be another Bethesda. Like, the formula is still the exact same thing that they first did with
I think
New Vegas. It still
feels like, to be fair, the issue with that is that Bethesda copied them in the first place. So if you go back far enough, because I actually saw a developer even say this recently, that they like the game, but the reason they only gave it a 7 out of 10 was because when you look at the formula, even if you go back to the days of Fallout being an isometric game, more like Wasteland, right?
Yeah.
The way that they were structured and everything is basically the same as these now 3D games.
When you're having a conversation and stuff like that, it's like, give me believable characters standing around and like leaning up against the railing and like having conversations. Like Mass Effect, especially with Mass Effect 2, like they did that where the characters were having like these believable conversations where it wasn't just zoomed in. Because I mentioned in my review, it's like my disdain for Starfield sat in the back of my head playing this because I'm like, this is just a better version of Starfield, but that's not saying much.
Yeah. Yeah. I know what you mean.
I just want the Outer Worlds 3, if they make it, to feel like it's their game and not just a Bethesda game.
And I think, and I can completely understand that feeling. I definitely don't want to diminish that because I get it. What I would say is, so Bethesda, when we look at Bethesda, they purchased the Fallout IP back in the day, right? Fallout was not originally their IP. And the studio they purchased it from, a lot of the creators of Fallout originally work for 2 studios now. They work for either Obsidian or they work for In Exile, the team that make Wasteland and are making Clockwork Revolution, right?
Yeah.
And so it's hard because while I understand what you're saying, in my mind, it's like this was their style of game first.
Yeah, but then nobody moves. Like everyone puts their foot in the sand and stuff, and it's just like that's my biggest issue with this game is that it just does not feel like what they're doing is theirs anymore.
Yeah, because it's not identifiable specifically to them, right?
Yeah,
and that's, I agree with that, and like it would be nice to, one thing I've seen someone say about this game is it's a great game, but it doesn't really do anything different than what we've been doing for the last 20 years with this kind of game.
And, like there's, I mean, I know that the Kingdom Come 2 Deliverance boss was like harping on it that it hasn't done anything original, but that there's no mechanic in here that wasn't in like the original Fallout 3 and stuff like that. Like, and I get it to a certain extent, but I mean, like my biggest issue is that this game just does not feel like it's its own thing. It still feels like this team is doing the same song and dance. And like, it's a good song and dance. Don't get me wrong. The formula can work. There are excellent moments, but it just comes down to, I think the presentation just needs to change. Like the storytelling doesn't need to, the stat things doesn't need to, the shooting doesn't need to, but in terms of like, I don't need the camera.
They don't have to have the zoom in camera anymore, do they? They don't need that zoom in camera.
Like whenever anybody sees that, they immediately go like, "Stop! You've broken the law!" Like it's that same thing, right?
Yeah.
But no, it is an excellent game. Like I settled on an 8.5 after kind of reading my review and kind of piecing it together and stuff like that. But
nice.
Like I still think it's an excellent game. I think it's definitely better than the first one. But I will say the companions absolutely sucked ass compared.
Interesting. I mean, I'll be playing more, and I will eventually probably be writing a review for the Outer Haven because they have no one else playing the game, so they need someone to review it. I'll be doing that eventually, but because it was kind of this situation where like us at Analog Stick Gaming got a code for the game after I'd bought the game, and I'd also bought the game for Jeff. And
could have got me Vampire Survivors too, or Vampire Bloodlines too.
And
never got code for that.
And so because I purchased it, it's one of those things where it's like I have to, as we've always mentioned, as Jeff does the same, you have to prioritize the codes you're given over the things that you purchase. Like
I mean, like even things like Ninja Gaiden 4, like it's on Game Pass. I want to eventually get out to that. I want to get a review out for Pokemon ZA, and like I just bought, and we'll be talking about it, Age of Imprisonment. But yeah, like I've got a lot of stuff we got codes for, because we just got codes for Strike Force that I want to play with Jordan.
Yeah, definitely. Like there's so many, like honestly, I'm actually, and I say this, and I don't mean this to be an excuse, but it's genuinely true of how my year has gone. Because my PC messed up earlier in the year, it put me behind on coverage of things quite significantly, and I haven't really been able to recover from that. So what has happened is I have this pile of stuff that I need to do, but new things keep coming, and so it ends up with loads of things to do all the time, and that's why like I haven't gone back to Ghost of Yotei and finished that. But good news for Jeff, my collector's edition has now been dispatched, so yay. Hopefully at some point, Jeff, that will arrive. But it's like, so I've got, when I look at it right now, things that I've been provided code for that I'm obviously going to do coverage for is like one of the other games I wanted to speak about that I've been playing, Last Caretaker. I got given a code for that. The only reason I haven't done coverage for it yet is because they've been updating it quite frequently since I've had a code, because the game is early access and they don't even want a review. They want more like a preview / first impressions piece of coverage.
Well, it's like
because
Becky to review Tormented Souls 2, and we got code, and she's been playing through that, but she's at a spot right now where she's soft locked, where the elevator will not allow her to progress through the game. So we have to go for a patch.
Yeah, so you know, like with Last Caretaker 2, like with Last Caretaker, I have had 3 patches in the time I've had the game that have significantly improved the game in some areas and changed other elements of the game, right? And that's why I'm in this weird position where it's like, I don't want to do written coverage of it right now because I don't want to lock myself into what I think or don't think yet. But it has just finally released in early access for people to now get themselves. You can get it on Steam. So I will be starting to think about doing that coverage at some point, right? And then I've got like things that I've picked up that I've purchased to do coverage of as well. So Dispatch that Jeff mentioned earlier, that's something I plan to review for us, but I haven't got the time right now to go and do that. Like, I just don't. Keeper is another one. It's like, so I've got all these things in my back pocket, but like I say, when codes come in, they come in, right? And it's like, so you have to prioritize codes. And I had a code for Football Manager, which I reviewed for the Outer Haven, and my friend James did a review of Football Manager 26 for us on Analog Stick Gaming. You can go and check that out now. We also got code for that, so it's like I had to prioritize that. I got offered a code yesterday that I had to turn down for a smaller indie game because it was just like, I don't have time to do it right now. I've done a controller review for a controller that will be out on the Outer Haven at some point today. Should be out now, so please go and check that out. My first ever controller review. And then it's like Call of Duty is coming out next week, and I am supposed to be covering that for Outer Haven, and I would expect, given our history over there, we should get a code for that game. And we might not get it until the game releases, but the point is that if we get provided a code, I still then have to be professional and be like, okay, I've got to do this in a timely manner. It's not a situation of, oh, we didn't get code till release day, so now I can just take as long as I like. You still have to be somewhat professional. And I know that Jeff right now is trying to, as he mentioned, is trying to find time to get back to Ninja Gaiden and other things. Well,
like, thankfully, the thing that I'm like embargoed on and stuff like that, I don't think I have to get a review out to like the 16th or something like that. So like,
nice. There is another game that I'm trying to get you that I'll tell you off air that I think you'll enjoy. But yeah, there's some really interesting. Like, I'm never going to complain. I just want to be clear. This is not me complaining about having access to things and whatever. It's more me making it clear to people that we don't get access to everything here at Analog Stick Gaming. And the reason that you might see some delayed coverage of certain games is because when we get a code, we have to prioritize those things. And in my specific case, this year specifically, because I got so delayed on coverage earlier in the year, I'm still kind of playing catch up while having to do some really big newer releases at the same time. So it's been hard to manage that stuff. So in a way, that's why I'm personally looking forward to 2026, because I can reset myself and be like, okay, now I can start anew and carry on. But yeah, that's just the way it is sometimes. But Jeff, speaking of games that we've picked up ourselves recently, you mentioned it briefly just now, but Age of Imprisonment, tell me about it.
Yeah, so this is kind of like in the same vein as Age of Calamity, which was kind of like a Dynasty Warriors kind of sequel to Breath of the Wild, which I actually, as blasphemous as it sounds, I actually kind of enjoyed a bit more than Breath of the Wild. Like it just felt a little bit more fun. Especially since Breath of the Wild really didn't feel like a Zelda game to me in a lot of ways, and like Tears of the Kingdom definitely makes up for some of that game's shortcomings. But these are this one's actually not as far. It's not handled by the same developer that did Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. I think it's a different developer. But these are very story focused games that are based around the lore of the Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. And this game takes place when Zelda goes, gets zapped back in time essentially during Tears of the Kingdom, and you play through that moment. And it's neat because you get to play as like a lot of these characters that you only saw in Tears of the Kingdom and stuff. And like, I can't remember her exact name, Minoru or something like that. She's like the tall kind of like goat looking lady or whatever like that. And what's neat is you get to fight with all of her constructs and stuff like that. And when she like sprints, she just sits on this wheel and it kind of just glides along. And it utilizes the systems from Tears of the Kingdom where you have like the battery and the construct and stuff, and you kind of attack with those things and refill your batteries and whatnot. And it uses a lot of those systems in very smart ways. But it does feel like that Dynasty Warriors thing where you're when you see like 200 KO or 300 KO, it's not out of out of the ordinary. It's what those games are. You're fighting like hundreds of enemies on screen, and so far it runs extremely well. This is a Switch 2 only game, so there's no Switch 1 game because Age of Calamity ran at like 20 frames half the time, and there's still been no Switch 2 patch for that game. I mean, it runs better under standard hardware acceleration, but there's no like Switch 2 version of Age of Calamity. But Age of Imprisonment takes place during that era when like Ganon kind of like shuffles his way into that hierarchy of all of the ancient Hyrule powers that be, and Zelda's there this time to kind of like convey things and stuff, and you get to see bits and pieces of that story through Link's when he gets those clips of back in the day and whatnot, and you get to see a lot of those things happen, and obviously how Zelda gets back to Tears of the Kingdom's timeline, and you kind of will start to see that kind of work its way into the story here. I'm only like an hour or so in because I just got it yesterday. But it is unbelievably fun. Like it just plays really nice. It uses a combo system and then a team up system where you basically like high five the Hyrule leaders, whatever, and then you do these abilities and powers and stuff. Like when you do the team up with Minerva or whatever her name is, you get in the commands of like the big giant mech that she has, and you can basically like stomp or slam things and stuff as Zelda, and that's super fun. It all looks like Tears of the Kingdom. Like it looks like it's made of the same engine. Like it has that feel, that look to it.
Good.
But this one seems pretty neat. It's also the first one like without Link as a main character. Like Zelda is the main character. So this will be actually like a good Zelda game that you're playing as Zelda, as opposed to that Sleepy Princess one where you could just like attack with beds and shit. But yeah, like it's super fun so far. It does this thing where like the map will open up and then you have these objectives that you need like certain things for, and then that will like update your combat skills or your health or whatever, and then you have actual missions that you can go into. It's supposed to be about 18 to 20 hours roughly to go through.
Longer than I would have expected.
Yeah, like it seems pretty good. Like it is another one of those games that's like $100 Canadian, so like it is Nintendo's new pricing structure. But no, it's so far it's been really, really good. Like it has that feel of like Age of Calamity, where like it is very story focused. Like in the first like 45 minutes, I think you get to play for like 10. Like
wow. Okay.
it's
Wow.
very story focused.
It's a
like,
Kojima game.
Yeah, it's very story focused. Like if you wanted these, like it almost feels like you're just watching like a Netflix animated series of like The Legend of Zelda at some points.
I mean, that's not necessarily a bad thing, though, because
well, like if you saw those characters in Tears of Kingdom and even wanted more story in Tears of the Kingdom, that's what you're getting here. It just comes with the like gameplay of like a Dynasty Warriors game. Although I haven't got to the point where I'm like, red base needs help. Like I haven't got to any of that kind of stuff. And Age of Calamity wasn't really that. So I don't think that that's going to be what's here. I think that they've distanced themselves from just being a Dynasty Warriors game.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah, that's good. I'm keen to hear more when you play more of it. I'm keen to hear more of it, obviously. But for now, I think that's pretty much it, right? Is there anything else on our list here? We spoke about art creators. We spoke. I think that does it for what we've been playing. I want to end with possibly a new section where we'll talk about what our plans are for the weekend, because we're heading into the weekend here. Personally, I'll be playing more of the Outer Worlds 2, mostly, because I want to try and get that finished. And I know that it's not an overly long game, so I want to try and get that finished over the weekend if I can. But I also might, so let us know if you're interested in this, I might stream on the channel either Keeper or Dispatch, because I know that both of those games are somewhat shorter.
Dispatch, make sure you turn off the nudity before you stream.
I know. But yeah, so if you're interested in a stream this weekend, let us know in the comments, and that is something that I can potentially do on the channel. I'm sure that me and Jeff will play some more Art Creators as well, because why not?
I also want to try and figure out how to stream that Strike Force, because I think that'll be good SEO. Because I don't think there's too many people playing it.
Probably. So yeah, we're going to look into that as well, because obviously that is on Xbox. So we'll figure out a way of doing that, hopefully. But yeah, we should have lots of coverage coming up soon. I believe Jeff is working on something he can't tell you about yet.
Well, yeah, like the review for Arc Raiders will be going up today. The review for Chicken Hair and the Treasure of Spiking Beard will be going up today, finally. I just keep forgetting to post that. There's that stuff. And then, working on another game on PlayStation right now for embargo.
Nice.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Nice. Fantastic. I will, like I said, in the coming weeks, I will be reviewing things like Keeper and Dispatch for us. I will also have some coverage of The Last Caretaker. But given that I don't know whether I want to kind of finalize myself in written form yet, Last Caretaker might be one that I actually cover through streams on the channel, and we might do like something a bit different where I do sort of like a Q&A type stream where I'm playing the game, but I can also answer your questions about it. I'll let you know if we're doing that on social media. Make sure you go and follow us on Blue Sky, because we are going to be posting more things there. Like every time that we do a review, we're going to post it over there. Every time that a podcast episode goes up, we're going to post it over there. So if you want to keep up with what we are doing, make sure you go and follow us on Blue Sky. It is linked below in the description. But for now, that has been it for episode 69 of the Gaming Mix podcast from Analog Stick Gaming. We appreciate you, and goodbye.
See ya.